Welcome to Long Island TikTok. I'm Gabby and this is
Priscilla
and Vinny.
And we're here with Evan Hirsch. Evan, welcome to Newsday.
Thank you. I said it when I first came in, but as a Long Islander of 27 years, this is like the final rite of passage to be here.
Love to hear that. We always love to hear that.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's jump right in. How did you decide that you wanted to be a fashion designer? Is that something that you always wanted to do?
Well, I tell this to everybody, like I sound like a broken record, but I originally thought I was going to be on Broadway, like I was going to be God's gift to Broadway, but the problem is I couldn't sing, dance, or act. Like I was pretty awful.
Well, you kind of need those for Broadway.
You do, and I kind of got the hint when my starring roles were like Villager number 17 or like Man with Pitchfork, so I was like, this probably is not the right career path for me, but I had that creative bug, like I still wanted to do something really artistic, really theatrical, like I really had things that I wanted to put out into the world and like shock an audience. So I started watching more runway shows. I actually had a friend, Mary, who wore these amazing like archival fashion looks to high school, like a different one every day, and I found it so fascinating, and we started watching runway shows together. We started following New York Fashion Week and Paris Fashion Week, Milan, London, and I started taking fashion drawing classes. So that really hooked me in, that you could just create whatever you wanted, whatever theme you wanted, like you were in control of whatever you wanted to create, and it was kind of just like a spiral from there. I loved creating, I loved making, and I loved the audience's reaction to all of it.
So with everything that you've done so far, what are your career goals?
I would say, I mean, I am like the king of comparing myself to other people, and like I want to be at that point by this time on this timeline, so I kind of am crazy when it comes to that. But I look to a lot of the designers who've inspired me thus far, like to have a career like a Michael Kors or a Marc Jacobs or a Tom Brown or someone like that. I think it's, yeah, Tom Ford even. They've had the massive career successes and benchmarks that I always look towards. Like, okay, they had their first runway show at this age. They had this many retail stores by this age or by this point in their career. And I'd love to replicate that. I'd love to just be a brand name that you could instantly recognize. Like I'm wearing Evan Hirsch, and that comes to mind what that brand means. So, and you know, there's a level of narcissism to be a fashion designer. So it's like, you know, thinking of my personality and my face and my name and my label, it all kind of ties together.
So with everything that you've done so far, what has been that turning point in your career that you feel like, okay, I'm becoming a brand?
It's hard to really pinpoint it because I am so hypercritical that I'm like, well, this doesn't mean anything. But like in reality, it does. I had always dreamt of having one of my designs at the Met Gala. That was, I always said, like, when I see one of my designs on those steps, like, that's when I know that I've made it to a certain extent. And it took a lot of outreach on my part, but I just couldn't let another Met Gala go by and me watching it on the sofa and not being able to see something that I did up there. So I messaged basically every person that went to the Met Gala, and finally I had 3 people who said, we'd love for you to create for us. So to see on the Met Gala day, getting ready at the hotel with one of my clients and then watching it on the TV and seeing it go, that was huge. And then just keeping a brand presence, and I do New York Fashion Week and Bridal Fashion Week every biannual season, so that has been able to, like, when they put my name on the schedule and it's right above Alice and Olivia and right below Brandon Maxwell, I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's my name and that's my brand, so that's been pivotal for me.
So can you tell us who those 3 clients were?
Yes, they all work for the city of New York, so it's not like, you know, Angelina Jolie or Beyonce or someone was wearing it on those, you know, steps, but they all work for the city of New York. Layla and her date Keith Powers, who is one of the councilmen for one of the New York congressional zones. He went to the Met Gala wearing a few of the accessories that I made, and then also Bobby Olisa, who is married to Lori Cumbo, who is the Cultural Arts Commissioner for New York. He wore a cape that I designed that kind of transforms and opens up to be like a garden of flowers for the Garden of Time theme. So that was really cool.
Amazing. Let's talk about one of the main reasons why you're here and the main reason why we have this video series.
Yes.
How did you get started on TikTok?
So it was during the pandemic when we were all bored and had nothing to do, and
Everyone
it was kind
says
of
this.
right. I sound like a broken record, but that's kind of why TikTok popped off in the first place.
It's true.
But I was lucky enough that I had a friend who had a little sister who was still, like middle school age, where this was like huge. TikTok, everybody had a TikTok, and they were like sneaking it on their phones during class and when they shouldn't have or whatever. And she said, "Oh, you should start posting videos on TikTok." I said, "I don't dance. I don't, lip sync. Like, I don't do any of that." And she said, "No, you could post anything." So I had my senior graduating collection from fashion school, and I said, this video, I think I posted it on YouTube, and it did some numbers, so I thought, why not try to translate that into a short form? Like, I edited it down and threw it up there. I mean, at first I had some unsuccessful ones, like nobody cared for the first like 4 or 5 videos, I'm sure. And I'm sure I did a lot of cringeworthy stuff too. Like, I was convinced I was going to be a makeup artist, like during that makeup like boom in 2016, and I was awful, so that was all bad. But I threw the video from my collection from my senior year online, and I think it got 4 million views on TikTok.
Wow.
So it was the first time that I said, wow, people really validate what I do, and maybe I should do more. So I started creating, and I would get like 500,000 views, and then like 1 million, and then 26 million, and it just kind of skyrocketed from there. And I said, okay, well, if people like this, I should keep it going.
Yeah.
How long does it take you to make generally one of your designs?
Yeah,
like from start to finish?
From start to finish, from like the conception to, it depends how much of a rush I'm in, but it could be anywhere from a day to a week. In school, we did 1 gown per month, so like they really set us up for unrealistic expectations with that, because now in the industry, it's got to be like really quick. I'm lucky.
Oh, that's not.
Oh no,
enough.
A month is like. You should be turning out like 15.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, especially for like a New York Fashion Week show. But no, I mean, it's like I'm, honored that you would think that a month goes into making these highly detailed things, but it's got to be even quicker than that.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it really depends on the deadline and what I'm trying to turn around in that time. I'm lucky now that I have a team of, sample makers and sewers and seamstresses who they can make a dress in 3 hours. So that's like really impressive. If someone calls, I could have that done relatively quickly. In terms of creating something, I usually give myself at least a week to have something fully realized and be able to think it out really, in a productive manner.
What about to make your videos? Does it take you a long time to film, edit, that kind of stuff, or is it a quicker turnaround?
I find that the ones that take the longest perform horribly. So
that's so interesting.
That's always the case. Always when it's like, I have this concept that I'm going to do, and it's going to blow the world's minds. Like, it's going to be, no one ever pays attention. And it takes so much time to make, like forever and a day. It's usually when I just kind of compile something, like a few of the designs that I did, and I put it up there with like maybe a little introduction or me describing what they are. That's what performs the best. But recently I found like I'll edit something together, the app will crash, I'll put it back up. It was too large of a file, and it could take, a few hours. But when you don't think about it, that's when it tends to perform the best. So something that I'll throw on to TikTok in like 20 minutes, that usually people resonate with it for some reason. I don't know why.
And you do all of your own filming, editing, all of that?
I do, unless I'm using a clip from like a TV show that I was on, or I did a runway show on the Tamron Hall show. I do the Donna Drake show that's here on Long Island. I'll compile some of those clips. And they have 4K cameras, which, I do not have access to on my own. But a lot of the, phone content, I'll do it myself. I'll set it up on my little ring light and go to town. And
which one of those videos are your favorite kind to make?
I really like when you're able to see my design process from a sketch to, if the audience is patient enough to sit there and watch the whole thing come to life. I love showing the process. And I love being honest about the process. Like, oh, this did not go well. This was a train wreck. This was a disaster. Like, sometimes people like to see the real process behind when you make something. So that's really fun to make. And then I love, obviously, sharing those, like, pinch me moments, like when I do the Met Gala or when I finish my New York Fashion Week show. Like, it's very rewarding to be able to share it with a community.
Absolutely.
And do you tap into trends at all, particularly on TikTok, where trends can come and go and be really fleeting and get millions of views, or do you prefer to just do your own original content?
I try to do both. Sometimes I'll hop on the trends. It has to be highly specific where I'm like, okay, I can apply that to a gown, which is not all of them. I mean, some of them are kind of more lighthearted than showing serious fashion. I'll do anything for attention, so I've tried it all.
Speaking of trying it all, one of your most viral videos that we've seen so far is the one where you make a dress out of Twix candy wrappers.
Yes.
Twix always gives us so much more with its chocolate, caramel, and cookies. In honor of Twix, I wanted to revisit and more my past alien Halloween costume into runway ready couture.
Tell us about that. What was your inspiration for that? What went into making that dress?
I wish I thought of that idea on my own, but Twix actually reached out and said, can you make a design? It was for Halloween. They said, we're promoting, they had these new like neon green Twix bars that you can, create with, I guess, or at least that was the challenge for me. So they reached out and they said, oh, can you create a Halloween costume inspired by our new green, Twix bars? So I was up for the challenge and I kind of skewed it. Can I make it more of like a couture piece than an actual like costume? And they liked the idea. So it was a lot of back and forth being like, do you like this? Do you like this one? Do you like this idea? And at the end of it, they said, we need a consumption clip. And I said, what is a consumption clip? Finally, I found out they want you to eat it at the end of the video. So that went right over my head. But yeah, it was inspired by the Twix campaign, and they liked it. They've run it as an ad, so for the whole month of like October, I was like hearing my voice and cringing. Like I would open it up, and I was like really on one that day. I was like, "Come see Twix's new." Like it was painful to listen to, but it did numbers. So whether people hated it or hated hearing my voice, they watched it.
Are you a left Twix or a right Twix kind of person?
They were singly wrapped. They were one honestly, if you handed me a right one and it wasn't a left one, like I probably wouldn't know the difference.
Right.
But
That makes two of us. Yeah.
Maybe I'm a lefty, so I'll say left. But
Right.
For them, they were just one individually. I guess they wanted to do a singular
Like a sample.
Twix. Yeah, like they wanted to squash the beef between the two. So
Yeah, I feel like they've been trying to do that
Yeah.
for a little while now.
They started and now they're trying to end it.
it
Yeah.
got too controversial, so they really had to
true.
narrow it down. But yeah, I'll say left because I'm a lefty and I can't sew gowns without being a lefty.
Fair enough.
Oh, jinx.
Do you want to do that? Is that your goal on social media? Maybe to get more brand deals, or do you have a specific goal that you're trying to reach?
Yeah, I love those because it keeps me really creative. I mean, who would have thought that I'd be making dresses out of candy? I mean, that was really cool. I've done partnerships with it was at the time Kelly Ripa and Ryan Seacrest's show. They were doing their Oscar special, so I created like an Oscars gown to go with it. I did a partnership with a projector where I could project my pattern pieces onto the fabric, which I never even thought to do. This projector company said you can project the patterns onto the fabric, and I tried it, and it was great, and it saved paper and it saved time. So great things come out of it. So I did one with like a perfume company that now my sister works at. So that not by way of me, but like just a funny coincidence. So, but I love doing those because obviously they're great for being able to keep doing and funding what I do, but they keep me creative, which is great.
And do you think social media has helped open doors in your fashion career?
100%. I mean, it really performs, you never know who's watching one of your videos. So out of TikTok, I've been covered in Vogue Business, which was amazing. They did a TikTok trend forecaster, and they, spoke about my videos and what I do, and it was on a Condé Nast Vogue publication, which was amazing. And I wouldn't have been on the Tamron Hall show if it wasn't for them finding my videos. Yeah, it's just been great for covering and getting the name out there. The other day on the street, someone said, "Are you the person who makes transforming gowns?" And I was like, "I am. You recognize me from from TikTok. I try and include my face in at least a second of the video." So it's helped with brand recognition. It's helped with getting my name out there. It's helped with getting exposure. So it's really been, a game changer for me.
So for fashion weeks, were you doing that already prior to going on social media, or is that something that has helped open the door for attending these?
I think it's come at the same time. And I used to do the first fashion week I ever did. I didn't show my own collection. I went to other people's, shows, and that helped being like, hey, I have this many number of followers, and this is what I do, and I can cover your show. But then I said, hey, if all of these designers are doing it, and I have an audience, why not try and bring the attention back to me and show my collection during New York Fashion Week. So it's definitely been something I always wanted to do, but social media has been a tool to make that end goal a little bit easier.
So where does the inspiration come from for your most viral transformation dress that you've posted?
So this is one of my transforming dresses. This is what I'm known for. It looks one way, it's one color, and then you just undo it here and here, and then it turns into a totally different dress. Well, I would say that the transforming dress idea all started when I saw this. It was really just a meme of this designer, Hussein Chalayan, who's like this amazing designer who did like the tables that transform into skirts and like the dress that dissolves in water and all this cool stuff. And I saw that, and it was a meme, and it said, oh, when the invitation says cocktail and you show up and it's black tie, and she like rips it off and it turns into this long dress. And I said, that's what I want to do. And then I was also inspired by my favorite like drag performers and burlesque performers and all these people who do these quick changes. So I took that idea, I ran with it, I tried creating my own line of transforming dresses, and one of my most viral videos is just like a compilation of a few of them that I've done. So they've all just come with kind of this aura of engineering, like creating these new dresses that could come out of nowhere, and I was able to compile them together, and people were able to see my final vision. They didn't see all the tears and,
Right.
ripped up fabric
The
that
blood,
came
sweat,
before
and tears
that.
that went into it.
Yes, but yeah, that was kind of the inspiration as a whole for the transforming dresses and what keeps me going doing it, the attention that they get and the way that people are shocked by them, so.
Overall, would you say, is there a favorite outfit that you've made so far?
That's a good question. I always say it's like the next one to come because I get hyper fixated and like obsessed with whatever I'm doing. So right now I'm like, my new collection is my favorite thing that I've done, but definitely the ones that have really resonated with people. Like I did this orange to blue transforming gown. It was like this orange lace that transformed into this like beaded blue gown that people were like obsessed with, that I loved that one. And I love doing, all the Met Gala pieces and all the accessories that I did for that. And just the ones that people are really like, I was not expecting that to transform that way. Like that piece, I'm like, okay, this is a good one. I got to make more of these in different fabrics and keep the momentum going. So
something that is like having your audience just leave stunned
Yes.
is what you're looking for.
Yes, from my theater roots, it's like if I can shock and awe and get people's applause and kind of reactions from that. My favorite thing at my show, I mean, people are kind of in on it now. Like when they come to an Evan Hirsch show, they know a dress is going to be doing something out of the norm. But like if nobody's ever seen my looks before, what I create, I love just like the,
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that. So it really, my family and friends and people who've gone to multiple of my shows, they're like, what is this going to do? So they kind of know. But I love raw, unfiltered reactions.
Yeah, and I think all three of us had that raw, unfiltered reaction when we were just watching your videos.
I wish I was there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That like feeds my feeds my ego when I hear that.
And as far as other fashion designers go, is there anyone on TikTok that's inspired you, either recently, overall, or anything of that sort?
100%. I was just watching. I had a chance to meet him. Joe Ando, who's this designer who just designed, Ella Emhoff and Kiki Palmer's dress, and he kind of is like self-deprecating with it. Like he'll go up to people and be like, "Can I design a dress for you?" And they're like, "No," but he still does it anyway. And he's very funny. He's very upbeat, and he's just have like a categoric rise to, creating. He's been doing, like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of jealous, but like he's doing some amazing stuff. And also Gunnar Dethridge, who is one of the first designers to really revolutionize TikTok as a platform for sharing your work. We've had chances to speak many times, and you know, we follow each other now, and he is like the blueprint. I tell him all the time, I'm like, you're the blueprint for social media designers. I mean, there were probably before him, but he really like, he was the first one that I saw that I could really resonate with. So he is amazing.
Took it to another level. Yeah.
Definitely. And he just did a dress for Chapel Roan, who's my newest obsession, which I was like, oh my gosh, like, can she call me too? But yeah, those.
She's everyone's obsession right now.
Right? And so those two designers have been like really great. Sometimes I look at their page and like, what are they doing? What am I doing? Like, how do our content kind of like complement each other? How does it differ? Like, it's good to keep like a diverse space.
So is it safe to say that all of these fashion designers kind of like are very supportive of one another? It sure seems that way, at least.
They are. You'd be surprised. Like, usually if you watch movies like The Devil Wears Prada, where like everybody's kind of cutthroat, I mean, some aspects of the industry is like that, but I feel like in the social media world as a whole, like, people are very supportive, and we all want to follow each other, and we all want to support each other, and we all want to kind of uplift. So that's been really helpful, is having a community, because I mean, I always say this, like, a lot of influencers are people who, you know, create content. They just have to turn on the camera. Like, that's it. That's all they need to do. For us, we have this bond, and we have to create an idea, cut the fabric, make a pattern, sew it together, put it on a model, put it in a location. It's hard, you know. It's not just, like, something we can do every day. So it's like we understand that bond, that it takes more to get to our end result. But, you know, there's strength in numbers to know that it's not a unique experience, that we can commiserate together.
And how do you differentiate yourself from all of this other, especially, you know, with TikTok showing like all these different, you know, designers and making it easier for them with the algorithm to kind of blow up? How do you find yourself, you know, making yourself stand out, making your brand stand out?
I think that definitely the way that I do the 2-in-1 kind of dresses has set me apart from other people. There are definitely other people who do it as well. I forgot to call out Designer Daddy, who has been doing these transforming Disney costumes. He actually visited me at my studio, which is like a big honor, because he was, you know, one of the first people that I saw doing these dresses as well. So yeah, it's like people do similar stuff, but I feel like we all do it in a unique way. And it's cool when people see a dress that has this transformational aspect, and they'll be like, oh, is that yours? Is that an Evan Hirsch? Is that something that you made? So it's kind of having that recognition with something that you do and that you continuously do that has kind of kept it unique for me.
So as far as social media goes, do you believe there's a constant influence on the changing world of fashion?
I think so. I mean, I definitely think that the generation who's inspiring fashion and like the new up and coming trends, they are social media users. They are, you know, starting these trends that later can be seen on the catwalks and at Fashion Week and things like that. I mean, they're our biggest inspiration. They're our target market some of the times. Like, I think that they, you know, a lot of the trends, I mean, I capitalize on it a lot. Like, some memes I'll put in my show. Like, sometimes I'll, like, if there's, like, a funny thing, like, I'll capitalize it and put it on a garment. Like, I'm very much like that. I don't take fashion too seriously. So I love that our generation of social media users are not only impacting fashion, but the world. I mean, everywhere you look, I feel like some people in my or even younger generations have kind of put the seed in there to, you know, have it flourish.
Do you feel like the longer you've been on social media, the more inspiration you've been getting from there?
Definitely, especially because I'm on it way too long. Like, my average watch time is like disgusting. Like, it's pathetic. But I mean, I guess in a way it's kind of work, because, you know, you're scrolling through.
You're doing
and
research.
Yeah, it's all research.
That's
I mean,
the excuse we use.
right, exactly. Until that lady pops up and been like, you've been on here a long time or whatever. I'm like, that is so embarrassing. So, I mean, I guess it all kind of does tie into what I do, and a lot of research, and I'll find inspiration on there. But yeah, I like to get it from the real world as well as social media. So sometimes I put the phone down, very rarely, but it's nice when I do.
I want to go back a little bit as far as TikTok goes and the process of making your videos on TikTok. So what is that like for you in terms of either day-to-day basis in making videos or even longer-term videos per chance?
I like to differentiate. Like, I like to line up exactly what I want to do. So if I'm making a completely new design or video specifically for a TikTok video or an Instagram or whatever kind of platform I'm sharing it on, I designate enough time to be able to sketch it properly, make a pattern, sew it together, get the fabric that I need, hire the right model, things of that nature. In between that, if I just need to, keep up my presence, I will use old videos and recycle them or put them together, kind of Frankenstein a video out of my old designs. But yeah, I like to keep new, consistent things.
Do you find it difficult to balance your fashion world versus your social media world, and how do you try to balance that?
I mean, it definitely is kind of a learning curve because we are almost the first kind of generation to be doing, fashion as well as promoting it on social media. So there's definitely no right way to go about it. Like, now that I do New York Fashion Week, I mean, New York Fashion Week has been around for, decades now. And as well as there's this organization called the Council of Fashion Designers of America, the CFDA, which all serious designers have been in for also decades. So it's kind of like a new sort of learning curve to be able to be on social media as well as be a serious fashion brand. So I'm kind of learning as I go, which is really helpful. But I want to be taken seriously in what I do, and sometimes it's hard when you're creating fun, videos for people's entertainment on social media. But yeah, I try and make it very complimentary. People are all in the same boat where they're learning as they go as well, so I kind of look to other people for inspiration. But it's interesting to be able to see the perception of what you create and your brand from the eyes of someone who's on social media as well as someone who's off social media, who might see it in a showroom or hanging on a store window or something of that nature. So I think it's helpful to be able to do both, and it is kind of two jobs at the same time, being able to promote, in person as well as social media. But I think if done right, there's a way to combine both of them.
So talking about the seriousness for a bit, there's obviously a generational gap when it comes to social media. Do you feel that social media is a space where you need to prove yourself to some of the older fashion designers who have been doing this for decades and have never had to do this with social media before?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that there's you're new until you're not. You're an emerging designer until when are you fully emerged? No one knows. So there's definitely a lot of proving yourself, both on and off social media. I mean, in terms of social media, it helps when you're able to show someone from a different generation, like, look, this is something I made, and it got how many millions of views. Like, they kind of are starting to come around and see it as a special tool that they can use to promote themselves. So they're warming up to the idea, which is really nice. But then it's also proving myself off of social media. It's like, can your garment hold up when it's not just like in a video? Can it be a saleable thing? Can it be a marketable thing? Can it be something that people can envision themselves wearing or celebrities can wear on a red carpet? So it's definitely a lot of proving yourself on and off camera. So it's like what you create on social media is your whole portfolio that you have stored there, and then what you do in the real world is, it almost means more to some of the people who are in the fashion industry because they love tangible things.
So let's talk about New York Fashion Week. It's coming up very soon.
Unfortunately, I'm not ready, but yes, ask away.
So tell us about the process. What is it like? How many shows do you have? And do you have particular celebrities that are going to be wearing your clothes or any of your accessories, etc.?
Yeah, definitely. So New York Fashion Week is always I always complain about it, but it's completely self-inflicted. I think I was talking to my mom the other day, and I was like, I'm so stressed, I'm so scared, and I'm like, but I did inflict this on myself. I mean, the world would still turn if I didn't do New York Fashion Week, but it's something that in the end, it's very rewarding to be able to do. This season, I'm doing 2 shows. I'm doing one of my singular own designs. It's going to be in a presentation setting on a rooftop in the theater district. So people are going to be able to come for like a 2-hour span and see my dresses in person, you know, go up and look detailed at it. Sometimes on a runway, it kind of just goes so quickly that you're not able to really enjoy the look. So it's a 2-hour window where people could come and enjoy and talk to me and learn my process. And that's what I love about fashion presentations. Is I'm not behind the scenes, I'm right there. You can ask me questions. So that's really helpful. But yeah, so I'm doing that one. And then the next day, on the Sunday, I am doing more of a traditional runway. I'm doing that with another designer and a modeling agency who's putting on the show. So it is kind of the best of both kind of fashion worlds, because I'm able to, you know, have people come almost as a press preview and view my looks and really have an intimate look at it, and then they could see them in motion the following night, you know, on a traditional runway. And in terms of celebrities who will be wearing the collection, I hope many, but during the show, we do have some really cool press confirmed. I was told, I mean, hopefully they do show up, but I was told like Vogue Italy might be, you know, coming, and we have confirmation from like Glamour and Marie Claire and Elle and all those really cool, Harper's Bazaar. Yeah, so it's a lot of pressure, but it's very exciting to know that they go to all of these high profile shows and they want to be able to come to mine. Like that's really cool. And I love New York Fashion Week. It's like, it's been a prestigious thing for so many years, and to be able to see my name up there is like next level.
How many have you done so far? How many shows at New York Fashion Week?
This will be, I think, my 4th, not including Bridal Fashion Week. I started doing them in 2022. I kind of did, I mean, some of them were like very amateur, like I would just rent out like a basement in Soho and put my designs and, you know, hand out flyers. Like it was very unprofessional.
You gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. That was before I had like a publicist helping me and learning how actual inviting people to runway shows happens in different fashion shows. So that's what I used to do. But I've been doing it kind of in an amateur way since 2022, and I've done 4 collections that way, and I've also done 2 seasons of Bridal Fashion Week, which New York Fashion Week happens in September and February, and Bridal Fashion Week happens in October and April. So it's like 4 collections a year is definitely a lot to handle, but it keeps me creative, it keeps me going, and I love, you know, the reaction I get from Fashion Week, and it's good to keep a profile, it's good to keep your name out there, and it's always the season that you miss that people have already moved on. So I kind of keep the pressure on myself to keep going.
So with Bridal Fashion Week, are you designing wedding dresses?
Yes, I do design bridal dresses for different stores around the country. I work with some bridal boutiques, some in Florida, some in Boston, and I design, you know, different wedding dresses. And yeah, they're able to show them to their clients. And Bridal Fashion Week is really centered on the wedding industry. Like traditional media sometimes doesn't do Bridal Fashion Week. It'll most be like the brides magazines. A lot of wedding planners will come to Bridal Fashion Week. A lot of, you know, catering, people who work in the bridal industry, they kind of go as like a networking kind of thing, but also a lot of buyers from different stores will come. It's a lot more, it's less of a show and more of kind of like being able to work with retailers and different, you know, networking people and people in the bridal space. But it's still really fun and really enjoyable to do.
Do you think that these high-profile fashion shows like New York, Paris, Milan, is that kind of like the Super Bowl for designers?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, those are the major 4. But what I think is really cool is I've been seeing viral fashion shows at like subsidiary like countries doing Fashion Week. Like I think I saw Copenhagen Fashion Week, and the looks were like incredible. I've seen Berlin Fashion Week. It was also incredible. I think there's like a Long Island Fashion Week, fun fact. I've never done it or been there, but like it's a thing. I know there's a Hamptons Fashion Week. So it's like designers really have a kind of plethora of ways that they could show, and if they're from a local town, I always get like, come join Kansas City Fashion Week. So it's like there's always places that are hosting their own, you know, fashion shows. There's the big 4, New York, Paris, Milan, and London. But no, a lot of these designers in different countries, in different states, are really finding ways to get their work seen, and I find that amazing.
So let's talk about the people that you've designed for.
Yes.
Who has been your favorite?
I would definitely have to say the Met Gala clients were really great. I love working with everyday people, weirdly enough. Like when I find out that someone is a bride to be and they want to wear Evan Hirsch for their, affair, or if they're the mother of the bride, or they, can see themselves wearing something that I created for the most special day of their life, like that's been really rewarding. Of course, dressing some of the like celebrities, ones that I, can talk about and ones that I cannot due to like some pretty hefty NDAs. But it's an honor to be considered for all of those things as well, for like, concerts and stage shows and live events and things like that. That's been really cool. But definitely the Met Gala, like being able to see it on those, New York officials who wore it was really special. And I also had an influencer wear one of my dresses to the premiere of the Barbie movie. So that was
cool.
that was really fun. Like and she messaged me on a Friday and needed it for a Sunday. So I was like, and she was in California and it was an overnight shipping situation. So,
wow.
But it's totally worth it. I mean, I wanted to be a part of that premiere. Like Margot Robbie with those looks, like just to say that my dress was at the same place as that was really cool.
That's awesome. Who would be your dream collaboration?
Oh my gosh, that's a good question. Well, I already mentioned Chappell Roan would be like the most iconic. Like she's so up and coming, and she is so fun with her fashion that I think that would be really cool. I'd love to. I mean, what designer wouldn't want to dress like Zendaya, or like she's a fashion icon, and Laura Roach, her stylist, is like a visionary icon. And I always wanted to dress Lady Gaga ever since I was, 2010, like at her concert, like a little middle schooler.
A little monster.
I was like the littlest monster. Like it was definitely like part of my upbringing and made me want to be a creative designer. But yeah, I love all of those celebrities who really are not afraid to take risks with fashion. I mean, that's what's really special to me, is when people don't take fashion too seriously. They want to be creative. They want to have a voice in what they wear, like all of those celebrities and everyday people. That is what keeps me going.
Let's shift gears a little bit. Tell us about your life on Long Island.
Yes.
What was it like?
So, I mean, I had a really, like, nice suburban upbringing. Like, I was born and raised in Dix Hills. I went to Half Hall Hills School District, so that was, my upbringing. I had a very, nice childhood, very supportive family. I loved where I grew up. My parents recently, I'm sure you're going to ask me about this later, but my parents recently just like sold my childhood house, which I was devastated about. But I mean, ideally, it's like nobody lives in the same house for like their entire life. But, I loved being in Dix Hills, and, it was really great. And there was a lot of greenery and, gardens and trees. And we lived on, we had a whole like forest behind our house. So that's kind of inspiring. But yeah, I always loved Long Island and going into the boutiques here. And I worked at the Americana Mall in Manhasset, which was like, a big part of my fashion iconic, history. So it's shaped me into the designer. And being so close to New York City, of course, has been so helpful. So I'm very happy that my parents chose to raise me here. Not that I know any different, but for Newsday's sake, I love Long Island, and this is the best place ever.
So do you still reside on Long Island, or are you in the city now?
I go back and forth. My parents are now in Roslyn, so I spend, a few days with them, and then also in the city on the Garment District, which is like, if anybody, I'm sure everybody's visited the Garment District, but it's where clothes were made since like the early 1900s. So it's, it's great to be able to be both places and not hear the honking when I'm here and the loud and the, crazy crowded streets. So
and the traffic.
You get the best of both worlds.
I can't, get Long Island like away from me. It's like pivotal to my sanity.
If you could describe Long Island fashion in one word, what would it be?
That's a good question. I would say very versatile. I mean, I have seen people wearing like everything here, like everything and like nothing at the same time. Like it's really like, I mean, just like nothing intricate. But, like I think that the fashion here is very like, not that it's very commercial, but it's very realistic. Like, I feel like people want to wear things that they feel comfortable in, that they still look very good in and are very flattering on them. But I feel like people are very realistic in what they want to wear. Like, if you go to any of the shops here, I feel like you can instantly see your style, but you can instantly recognize yourself wearing that. It's not like you're going to like Dover Street Market in New York City where it's like, where's the armhole in that? Is that where you put your head or is that where you put your arm? Like it's not confusing. Like people here are really, it's a very big like working community. Like people go to work, people, go to the Hamptons. People have a lot of function in their garments, which I find very, prevalent here. But I've also worked with a few boutiques here in terms of evening wear. So I've gotten to know like what price points people usually like go to on Long Island in this demographic, what kind of colors they like to wear, what kind of patterns they like to wear. Do they like it to be a full silhouette? Do they like it to be slimming? Like I've learned a lot of that working with some of the boutiques here on Long Island. So
Have a lot of the boutiques that you've worked with presented your clothes in their boutique?
Yes, I've done a few trunk shows with a few of the bridal salons here on Long Island, and I've done a lot of the like the conventions, like the bridal conventions at like Nassau Coliseum with Princess Bridals, who's a store here in Farmingdale. So yeah, it's been really helpful and of course, a lot of the stores that I work with and everything that I do is based on me just like showing up and cold calling and all that stuff. When my sister was getting married, I would go into all of the Long Island bridal shops and go, oh, I'm looking for a veil for my sister. And they would say, well, does she need a dress? And I said, oh, I designed the dress. Oh, you're a designer? Yes. Let me see what you do. Oh, here it is. So it would be very like, I tried to make it very organic, very sneaky. But
Strategy.
yeah, I know. It's like kind of like a backhand getting to the goal that you want.
Well, that's smart.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. It's definitely like you try to not take no for an answer. But it's gotten me great relationships with the stores here, and it's gotten me to, work with a lot of the clientele here and get to know the people who are in my community and what they like to wear, and that's been really important.
So you designed your sister's dress. What was that like working with someone so close to you?
Oh my gosh, it was definitely like a lot of pressure, but especially it's like you want something to go really well. I was lucky that I worked with another like designer on the dress. But we collaborated on everything, and we would do fittings together. But it's like, you want to make something special for someone who's so close to you. So it's, a lot of pressure.
Did she give you enough time?
Yeah, no. Like she would always be deciding at the last minute. So yeah.
Did she ask you, or did you offer?
No, I said you make your own decision. I'm not going to push anything on to you, any ideas, but she went to a few bridal shops and like tried on the dresses, and she just couldn't find anything that she liked. And I felt like a lot of the dresses that she was putting on, it looked like she was playing dress up, like she was like cosplaying a bride. So it like didn't feel like it was her dress. So it's like, no one knows you better than your blood relative. So
That's true.
Yeah.
And when you know your dress, you know your dress.
Right, exactly. I was like, I know what you want better than you do. So.
I wish I had some like you when I was dress shopping, because I actually didn't try on that many dresses. I only tried on like 6 or 7 dresses. But then like when I had mine, I basically knew. I was like, yeah, this is the one I love. This is the one that felt most like me.
Well, that's great that you were able to just get that emotion and feeling from a dress, which is what us as designers try and do. But some people, they just, they need something that's never been done before to be kind of created just for them. So.
All right, we're going to wrap on this one question. If you could give advice to Long Islanders who are also trying to make it big on social media, what advice would you give them?
It's going to be corny, like trigger warning, corny
corny
alert, but be true to yourself. Like people want to follow you for you. So it's like if you're putting on a fake voice or you're trying to like really push it in a way that it's not organically going, like people want to see you, and they want to see the real you, and they want to see like mess ups and screw ups and bloopers and funny things. So definitely try to and play to your strengths. If you don't know what that is yet, try and like feel out what you do and see what gets the best response. I mean, the worst thing about posting something and it doesn't get the attention that you'd like, you try again. You just like redo it or try something else, or find the path. That's the great thing about your audience is they'll tell you what they liked best.
Absolutely.
A lot of them help me with my design decisions. So it's definitely like include your audience, but be true to what you organically are. So I'm sure everybody says that, but it's true. I mean, we all say it for a reason.
Very true.